Oslo, heists and robberies. Some captions. Munch's The Scream. During August 2004, two masked thieves, one of whom was armed, pulled the paintings The Scream and Madonna from the wall of Oslo's Munch Museum in broad daylight. Roughly 50 visitors stood and watched, paralyzed with fear, as the gunman held his weapon to a female guard's head. The pair of thieves, wearing black masks, used wire cutters to cut through a security line attached to the frame, then fled from the paintings to a waiting black Audi A6. Though an alarm was sent as soon as the paintings were lifted, police arrived 15 minutes too late. The next morning, Norwegian newspaper Aftenposten ran the front page headline, "Verden skriken, the world screams." The heist, which was the first armed art theft in Norway, was characterized by Norwegian Culture Minister Valgard Svastad Haugland as dreadful and shocking. She also expressed great concern over the safety of the paintings, of which The Scream alone was estimated to be worth more than $70 million, as it was painted in tempera on cardboard and considered extremely fragile. Kind note: this $70 million is a lot of money and can buy a lot of arms, a lot of ammunition and guns. So this recent Norway killing may be a a tie into this. I don't know. "We have not protected our cultural treasures," she adds, "adequately. We must learn the lessons," Hogland told the BBC. It could have been pointed out that these lessons ought to have been learned a decade earlier, when another version, one of 4 Munch's 1893 paintings of The Scream, and one of that has been deemed the most significant, was also stolen. During that instant, the painting had been lifted from the Norwegian National Gallery on 12 February, on the opening day of 1994 Winter Olympics in Lillehammer. Thieves propped up a ladder against a second-story window and used wire cutters to remove the painting from the wall. 10 days later, Norwegian government officials found 4 pieces of the painting's frame in Nettedal, a suburb north of Oslo. Plus, they received a message and what appeared to be a ransom demand of $1 million. Because police did not receive proof that the people had the painting, they ignored the demand. 3 months later, the painting was recovered undamaged from a hotel in Asgestrand, 40 miles south of Oslo. 2 months later, 3 Norwegians were arrested and charged with the theft. The Scream and Madonna were parts of Munch's Phrase of Life series, in which sickness, death, anxiety and love were central themes. In the Madonna lithograph, the woman's half-closed eyes represent pain, while her position with her hands behind her back depict life and death shaking hands, linking the past to the future generations. Norwegian police recovered the 2 paintings 2 years later, 30 August 2006. While the paintings have been damaged, police reported it was much less than had been expected. During a news conference, Norway Police Chief Ivar Stensrud told reporters, "For 2 years and 9 days we have been hunting systematically for these pictures, and now we've found them." The thieves, Bjorn Hohen Petter Taraldsen, believed to be the getaway driver, and Petter Rosenvinge, all in their 30s, were tried and found guilty of stealing the paintings after a trial in May 2007. They were sentenced to between 4 and 8 years in prison. 3 other men, also charged with the crime, were acquitted in connection with the theft and released. Did these men know this fellow murderer of late? Besides prison sentences, the convicted men were also ordered to pay the Oslo Township restitution compensation for the estimated worth of the paintings, because they were returned damaged and had to be restored. Madonna had a scratch and a small tear that left hole in the canvas, and the Scream was slightly crumpled from moisture damage to a corner. The Munch Museum has since installed metal detectors, along with new devices for mounting the paintings on walls. In addition, master paintings are now mounted behind bulletproof glass. Munch, Norway's best-known artist, died 1944 at the age of 81. Next, Show Me the Money. Europe's biggest art theft. Half an hour before closing on Sunday, 10 February 2008, three men wearing ski masks and dark clothing stormed into E.G. Berl Foundation Museum in Zurich, armed with handguns. One of them forced terrified employees and more than a dozen visitors to the floor. His accomplices moved swiftly through the elegant townhouse to four most valuable paintings on display. The thieves pulled them from the wall, left the museum and fled to a waiting white saloon car. They had been in and out of the museum in less than 5 minutes, carrying with them $164 million worth of impressionist masterpieces. Investigators described the heist as spectacular. "We're talking about the biggest ever robbery carried out in Switzerland, even Europe," baffled Zurich police rep Maria Cortesi told reporters the day after the heist. The stolen paintings were Cézanne's The Boy in the Red Vest, 1890, considered the most valuable in the entire collection, Degas, Viscount Lepic and his daughters, 1871, Monet's Poppies near Vetchheil, 1888, and Van Gogh's Blossoming Chestnut Branches, 1890, which was especially valuable, having been completed just over the last 6 weeks of the artist's life. The robbers passed over the collection's second most valuable painting, another Cézanne, leading authorities to believe that while the thieves appeared experienced enough to know about the world of art, they chose their particular paintings because they were conveniently displayed in the same small room. The daylight robbery went off with barely a hitch. The thieves loaded the paintings into their vehicle and sped off, unimpeded, in a southeastern direction toward the suburb of Zolikon. Witnesses reported seeing one of the paintings sticking out of the back of the car as the robbers fled. 8 days later, on Monday, 18 February, 2 of the 4 paintings were discovered in an unlocked white Opel Omega that had been abandoned in a parking lot outside the University of Zurich's psychiatric clinic, just a few hundred meters from where they were stolen. The paintings by Van Gogh and Monet were still framed and undamaged. They may have been swapped, you know. Anyway, museum director Lukas Glur said during a news conference that fortunately both the recovered paintings were in absolutely impeccable shape. However, the Degas and Cézanne, which had total estimated worth of 180 million Swiss francs, $163 million, remained missing. Perhaps they took this one alone. With no ransom note delivered, the authorities determined the works had most likely been stolen for a pre-arranged personal order. The uninjured staff, security guards and patrons had told police that one of the robbers spoke German with a Slavic accent. Investigators studied other cases and compared evidence to see if they could find any similarities. The 3 bandits had stolen the paintings from the Bureau just a week after another high-profile art crime had occurred. 2 Picassos, Tête de Cheval from 1962 and Vere et Piche from 1944, had been stolen from a cultural centre near Zurich's wealthy Gold Coast lakeside district. The paintings, valued at several million francs, had been taken from a small exhibition hall. However, after a couple of weeks, any connection to the latest case was ruled out. A museum spokesman told the reporters the paintings were so well known that it would be near impossible for a thief to try to sell them on the open market. The underground market to a private investor was more likely. Still, even then, it's not easy unloading some of the world's famous paintings. Selling art on the black market typically garners thieves a fraction of its true market value, and unloading world-famous masterpieces is nearly impossible. Unless there's a quick ransom demand, stolen masterpieces can become a form of underground currency for illicit transactions. The FBI listed the 2 remaining missing paintings with accompanying colour photos on a page headlined Top 10 Art Crimes on their website, asking anyone with information in circumstances surrounding the case to either call or submit a tip online. The reality, however, according to the FBI, is that only about 5% of stolen masterpieces are ever recovered. It's likely, if the pieces weren't sold to a private investor, they were instead sold into the black market, in which case it could take years for the art to surface. Next is Cash Money, the Great Brinks Robbery.